At the beginning of the movie, a man enters a pawn shop holding a monkey. He places the monkey on the counter and rings the bell, prompting the owner to come out. Noticing the blood on the man, the owner comments on it, but the man replies, "It's not even mine." He then tells the owner that he needs to get rid of the monkey and make it someone else's problem. The owner points to a sign saying, "No returns on children's toys." The man insists it's not a toy and admits he doesn't know exactly what it is. The owner observes that the monkey appears to be broken, noting that one of the drumsticks is stuck in the upright position, to which the man warns him, "You do not want that drumstick to come down because if it does, we're all screwed to hell." Suddenly, the monkey starts playing the drum, startling the man. After a while, when the monkey stops, a rat begins gnawing on a rope. The owner sarcastically remarks that he doesn't feel screwed to hell, but at that moment, the rat cuts the rope, causing a mannequin to shoot an arrow straight at the owner. The monkey hits the drum again, and the arrow is pulled out, bringing the owner's intestines with it. In a panic, the man spots a flamethrower in the shop, and on the next scene, he pulls the trigger, engulfing the monkey in flames. Next, Hal Shelbourne introduces himself and his twin brother Bill, saying, "This is us before everything." Bill was 3 minutes older than Hal and treated him poorly whenever he could. Despite this, Hal still loved him, even if he sometimes fantasized about being an only child. Hal adds, "Their mom raised them on her own for as long as she could." He recalls that his mom thought it was just a bunch of junk, but for Bill and him, their dad's closet was full of clues about who he was. They take out a few items from the closet and find a blue box labeled "Organ Grinder Monkey." Hal opens the box, revealing the monkey inside. Intrigued, he takes it out, and Bill immediately demands to have it. As Bill examines the monkey, Hal notices an instruction on the box. Bill turns the key, and they wait for something to happen. After a while, the monkey suddenly smiles, raises its arm, and the drumstick begins to spin before stopping abruptly, to which Bill says it's broken anyway, and tosses it to Hal. That evening, the twins sit in the restaurant with their babysitter, Annie, while the monkey waits outside in her car. Suddenly, the monkey begins to play the drum, and after a while, as it stops, the chef swings his knife too fast, slicing Annie's throat, and they all watch in horror as Annie turns her head toward Hal before it falls on the hot plate. The next day, after Annie's burial, Lois tells her kids that death is inevitable. It's not about if or how, it's only about when. She explains that some will die peacefully, while others may face violent, horrifying ends. The next day at school, some girls bully Hal, mocking him by saying that his dad left his mom and ran off to Paris to buy cigarettes because Hal was a big crybaby who couldn't stop whining. The girls take off his pants, leaving Hal to return home without them. He heads straight to his room and sits on his bed, but as he turns, he notices the monkey there. He asks his mom why she put Dad's weird monkey in their room, to which she replies that she doesn't go in there anymore since she found that stiff sock. That night, Hal asks the monkey if it had anything to do with Annie's death. Just then, Bill enters the room and sarcastically asks if Hal has a crush on the monkey. Hal denies it, but Bill taunts him, saying he can keep it if he just admits he wants to marry it. Frightened, Hal reluctantly says it. The next day at school, Hal brings the monkey with him, and a girl tells the teacher that Hal is jerking his monkey, causing the class to burst into laughter. Later, Hal sees Bill approaching with some girls, all holding bananas. Humiliated, he returns home completely covered in bananas. Frustrated, he rushes to his room and confronts the monkey, saying it's because of it that Bill did this to him. In his anger, Hal tells the monkey that he wishes Bill were dead. He then turns the key and places the monkey on the table. The monkey smiles, and then the drumstick in its hand starts to spin. Meanwhile, Bill returns home, and the monkey starts playing the drum. As Bill approaches his mom, he is shocked to see that her ear and nose are bleeding. The monkey hits the drum, bursting Lois's back, and she collapses. Hal explains that the doctors called what happened to his mom a boomerang aneurysm, but he was the only one who knew the real cause. You turn the key, and the drumsticks go up, coming down again when the monkey chooses its next victim. It doesn't take requests or explain itself, just like life, as the box says. That night, Hal decides to destroy the monkey and chops it up with a cleaver. He says he put the pieces in a garbage bag and made sure it got picked up by a garbage truck, assuming that would be the end of it. However, after that, Bill and he were never the same. Uncle Chip and Auntie Ida picked them up and moved them to Maine, and he guessed he hoped they had left the worst of it behind them. Later that night, while Bill is watching TV, he notices a light outside flickering before it suddenly goes out. Curious, Bill goes to the window to check, and to his shock, he sees the monkey outside. Bill asks Hal why he brought it, but Hal insists he chopped it up. Bill points out it doesn't look chopped up and questions if it killed Annie, to which Hal says maybe. Bill then suggests trying it on purpose to see if it kills someone else, but Hal worries it might get one of them. Bill then wonders if the monkey could kill the person who turns the key, and says he is gonna try it. Next, Hal tells Uncle Chip was trampled by 67 wild horses while camping in a sleeping bag, and the undertaker remarked that the body looked like a drop-kicked cherry pie. Bill and Hal decide to throw the monkey into a well, since they know it can't be destroyed. They hope that maybe they can contain it, and for a long time it seems like they've succeeded. 25 years later, Ida wakes up to the sound of circus music. Perplexed, she heads to the basement to investigate and turns on the light, only to find no one there, and the lights then go out. And as she begins to climb the stairs back up, one of the steps breaks, causing her to fall. Ida screams, revealing fish hooks in her face. She carefully removes the hooks from her face, and then applies alcohol to her wounds. That's when she notices the smell of gas leaking. She approaches the stove to check, and as she bends, the range knob suddenly clicks, igniting a flame that sets her face on fire. Screaming, Ida runs out of the house, but her foot gets caught in a flower vase, causing her to impale herself on a signpost. Hal admits that he hasn't seen the monkey since they threw it down the well, but he feels it's only a matter of time before it returns. We then see Hal, who has lost contact with Bill and has no friends. He avoids family, fearing the monkey's return might kill someone close. But staying away is easier said than done. He goes to his manager, Dwayne, and tells him that he needs to leave early to pick up his kid, whom he sees only once a year, and plans to take to horror heaven. Hal visits his ex-wife, who informs him that Ted has decided to legally adopt their son, Petey, and once the adoption is finalized, it won't be necessary for Hal to see Petey anymore. Hal insists that Ted can't just do that, but Ted, confident in his authority as a leading expert in his field, disagrees. Hal's ex-wife suggests that he use this time to create some good memories with Petey over the week, and then make a clean break. Meanwhile, at an estate sale for Ida's belongings, a man named Ricky comes across the monkey, and as he picks it up, it reminds him of his father. He brings the monkey home, and his mom asks if he's still considering selling it to the eccentric guy who never leaves his house. While working on his family tree, Petey asks Hal if he has any siblings, to which Hal replies no. Petey then asks for his mother's name, and Hal says her name was Lois. Later, while they are sleeping, a giant monkey hand grabs Hal. It throws him into a well, and he keeps falling until he lands on a table, where the monkey attacks him, causing him to wake up from his sleep. He then receives a call from an unknown number, and when he answers, he is shocked to hear Bill's voice on the other end. Bill tells him that he got his number from the police, and when Hal asks what he means, Bill tells him that Aunt Ida has passed away, and that the police described it as a freak accident. Bill then tells Hal to go to Aunt Ida's house and make sure it isn't there, to which Hal insists that it is at the bottom of a well, but Bill argues that it can teleport, and Hal knows it. Hal asks why it would be at Aunt Ida's anyway, to which Bill says because it's attached itself to their family and likes to kill them. Hal asks what he is supposed to do if he finds it, to which Bill says you never let it out of your sight again, so no one turns the key. Just then, the outdoor unit of the AC falls from the roof, and at that moment, a woman dives into the pool, and the electrical surge causes her body to explode on impact. Hal takes Petey away from the motel and explains that his Aunt Ida has passed away, and he needs to handle a lot of her belongings. Petey asks Hal how his mother died, and whether it was his aunt who raised him afterward. Hal confirms that it was, and Petey suggests that Hal could take him along to his aunt's house. However, Hal insists that Petey can't come because it would be too depressing. Petey then reveals that he knows about the adoption, saying that Hal can either cut him off and end things now, or choose to spend the little time they have left together. Next, we see Hal with Lois, who asks her for any advice about the future, to which she tells him to take life as it comes, warning that the worst thing he can do is try to force it. However, the most important thing for him to remember is not to kill everyone around him. Lois then screams, and blood pours from her eyes, but Hal wakes up with a jolt. The next day, when they visit Ida's house, a woman startles Hal, and when he rolls down the window, she introduces herself as Barbara, saying that his brother Bill mentioned he would be coming. Barbara brings them inside and tells Hal that they held an estate sale the day before Ida passed. She also mentions that things have been a bit chaotic since Monday. First, her aunt died that day. Then on Tuesday, it was Mitch McDonald, followed by Bert Ferguson on Wednesday, and then Nancy Rizzoli. Hal remarks that there aren't any cobras in Maine, to which Barbara responds, "There was one." She then adds that every day since Monday, at least one Casco local has died. Meanwhile, Petey learns that Hal and his brother are twins. Hal subtly tries to ask Barbara about the toy monkey, but she thinks he's referring to a favorite toy from his childhood. Afterward, Barbara tries to open a closet door, but none of the keys fit. Just then, hearing a faint circus music, Hal suggests they should head downstairs, but the door opens and a gun falls out, accidentally discharging and shooting Barbara. Later, the police question Hal, and the policewoman asks Hal not to leave town until they can figure out a few things. When they carry Barbara's body outside, the neighbors cheer, shouting, "Let's go Casco!" And Ricky is also present among the crowd. Meanwhile, Hal searches for the monkey when the phone rings. He picks it up and hears Bill on the other end. Hal tells him that the monkey isn't there and that Ida had a yard sale, so it might have been sold, meaning it could be anywhere with anyone. He also mentions that people in town are dying in unusual ways. Bill instructs him to go to the motel and wait for his signal, and when Hal asks where he is, Bill abruptly disconnects the call. Hal opens the phone directory and starts searching for Bill's number, but he comes across a name, Mrs. Monkey, that catches his attention. He dials the number, but an answering machine picks up, and the message says, "If this is in regards to my ad, I am happy to report that my quest to find my beloved toy monkey is over." Hearing this, Hal realizes that the monkey is with Bill, and that he's the one turning the key, causing people to die. The scene then cuts to Bill, still wearing his funeral suit. It is then revealed that Bill knew it was Hal who had turned the monkey's key, causing their mother's death. Determined to get the monkey back, Bill rushed to retrieve it as soon as he could, but it was already gone, and in its place was a sign hinting that it would someday return. So, he waited. For a long time, nothing happened, until one day, he got a note in a fortune cookie that read, "Turn the key and see what happens." Perplexed, Bill looked around and realized it was the year of the monkey. Suddenly, the monkey seemed to appear everywhere, as if it had always watched over him, and it made him believe the monkey would return to help him seek revenge. Bill went back to where he thought it might reappear, foolishly believing he could summon it. He altered his childhood funeral suit, preparing for more deaths and the monkey's terrible power. Bill declares that now, at last, they are together again, with only one thing left to do, kill Hal, and with that, he turns the key. Meanwhile, Dwayne steps on a rake, causing his vape to lodge in his throat, killing him. Meanwhile, Ricky visits Bill and asks if he can just return the money and get the monkey back. In response, Bill asks, "Did you know that 27% of all English-speaking people will either say, 'Oh shit' or 'holy shit' before they die?" Saying it's funny because death is the one big thing that will happen to all of us. Yet, we still can't help but be somehow surprised by it. Ricky agrees, and then mentions that he saw Bill's twin brother with his nephew. Bill thinks, what if Petey turns the key? And when Ricky asks if he can get the monkey back, Bill refuses, saying he hired him to find the monkey, not to fall in love with it. At the motel, Hal calls Bill and begs him to stop turning the key, saying there are innocent people at risk, and he doesn't care about himself. All that matters is Petey's safety. Bill replies that if Hal wants him to stop, he should bring Petey to turn the key instead. When Hal asks why, Bill explains that the person who turns the key never dies. He says that if Hal wants Petey to be safe, Petey has to keep turning the key forever, and he will never die. Hal says, let him get Petey out first so they can figure things out. But Bill insists that either I keep turning the key or Petey does. Petey asks Hal why he had a kid if he's just going to keep his distance, to which Hal admits he didn't know what he was doing. And when Petey asks if he was an accident, Hal replies that everything is an accident. Petey gets upset to hear this, but Hal explains that while his birth was unplanned, he's not a mistake. Hal says he is grateful to have him, and that is why he stays away because he carries weird baggage and doesn't want Petey to deal with it. When Petey asks what kind, Hal says evil stuff inherited from his dad, and before Hal can explain further, someone bangs on the door. Hal opens the door, and Ricky rushes in wearing his dad's uniform. Ricky orders Hal to get the keys, and then, turning to Petey, says they're going for a little drive. Ricky takes them to a building, and when Hal asks where they are, Ricky says it's his brother's house and tells Hal not to pretend he doesn't know. He then instructs Petey to go inside, be nice to his uncle, and get the monkey. Petey asks about the monkey and why Ricky knows about it when he doesn't. Hal insists the monkey is evil and says Petey shouldn't go inside. Ricky threatens to kill them if Petey doesn't go inside, and Hal urgently warns Petey, no matter what, not to turn the key in the monkey's back. Petey enters the building, and he nearly steps on a wire on the staircase, but stops, and when he looks up, he finds swords hanging there. Meanwhile, Hal and Ricky spot a hornet nest hanging from a tree in front of their car. Petey sees Bill talking to the monkey and calls out to him, asking if he's okay, to which Bill replies that it's been a long time since anyone asked him that, and now that he mentions it, he's not okay. He then tells Petey that the monkey was his favorite childhood toy. It's supposed to play the drums, but he thinks it's stuck, and he asks if Petey can fix it for him. Petey asks if this is the thing that messed everyone up, to which Bill asks how it could be, saying it's just a toy. He hands him the monkey, explaining that turning the key is a Shelbourne family tradition passed down for generations. Petey asks what it does, to which he says turn the key and see what happens. Intrigued, Petey turns the key and then rotates the monkey, and suddenly, the monkey raises its arm and the drumstick spins. Meanwhile, Hal and Ricky notice that the tree branch with the hornet nest is creaking. Then Ricky's head starts itching, and as the monkey starts playing the drum, Ricky accidentally fires a shot, but he narrowly escapes. However, Hal notices that the shot has made a hole in the windscreen. The monkey then stops, but after a while, when it hits the drum again, a swarm of hornets enters the car through the hole and flies straight into Ricky's mouth, causing him to lose consciousness. The hornets then start coming out, creating holes in his face, and as Hal gets out of the car, Ricky's jaw falls apart. Hal calls out for Petey, and Bill orders him to turn the key, but when Petey refuses, Bill knocks him down. Bill then tells the monkey that he's no longer asking nicely and orders it to kill Hal. Desperate, he manually tries to make the monkey strike the drum, but despite his efforts, he can't make it work, and after a tense moment, the monkey throws him away. Meanwhile, Petey reaches Hal, who is trying to enter the building, and during this, the monkey slowly begins to play the drums, but its speed gradually increases as if it's getting angry, and then it suddenly stops. Just then, Bill hears explosions and screams from outside, and when he looks out, he is horrified to see the entire town being destroyed. The monkey then strikes the drum again, causing the corpses of people to fall into his room. Hal then arrives and confronts Bill, asking if he was trying to kill him, and Bill admits it. Hal says you could have killed my son and asks why, to which Bill replies because you killed my mom, and I know you wanted to kill me too. But that monkey doesn't take requests. Hal tells him that it's not his fault, and none of them deserved what happened to them. They just happened to be there when it happened. He explains that everybody dies and that's just life. Hal apologizes for his mom's death and says he understands how Bill feels because she was his mom too. Bill agrees, admitting that he never thought about it that way, but it makes sense. He then apologizes to Hal, who responds that he wishes they could have been there for each other when they were kids. But they're here now. Hal helps Bill to his feet, and Bill asks if they're on some kind of road trip or something, to which Hal replies that it's a father-son road trip. Bill says he would have liked to do that with someone at least once, and Hal invites him to join them, but the monkey strikes the drum, causing a cannon to fire and blow Bill's head off. and Hale finds that it's the same ball with which he wanted to kill Bill. As they are leaving, Petey remarks that Uncle Bill wiped out half the town where they grew up, and Hal agrees. Petey then says he understands that everybody dies, and that's just life, but it feels strange when everyone dies at the same time. Hal asks what he wants to do now, and Petey replies that they need to figure out what to do with the monkey, to which Hal suggests that they accept it as theirs and hold on tight. As they stop at a red light, they spot a weird pale gray horseman, dressed in what appears to be a revolutionary soldier's outfit. The man stops, looks straight into Hal's eyes, and when Hal nods, the man quietly rides away. Hal tells Petey that he just got an idea of what they should do next, and when Petey turns to him, Hal says, "Let's go dancing." Petey asks where that came from, and Hal replies that it comes from his grandmother. As the light turns green, they drive away, and just then, a bus filled with cheering people arrives. But a truck suddenly passes by, killing everyone, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.